Going into the summer of 2014, Woonsocket's unemployment rate was nearly 10%, well above the state average. And it was particularly tough for teenagers to find a job, in a market where they were sometimes competing with unemployed adults. Tough, that is, unless you were the mayor's son or one of his friends. Woonsocket's new mayor, Lisa Baldelli-Hunt, decided to bring back a so-called summer works program for teenagers that had been abolished years ago for lack of money. It turns out her 16-year-old son and teammates from his summer baseball league were the only ones who knew about the part-time jobs. We found them, city-issued brooms in hand, out sweeping sand off the sidewalks of busy streets throughout Woonsocket in July and August. And we caught up with the mayor one day last month to find out more about the program, which was not advertised or included in this year's budget. And so what was the thought bringing it back this year?
Just because of the condition of our city and the quality of life issues. So it was a matter of cleaning up our streets and quality of life.
At $10 an hour, the jobs paid a full $2 above minimum wage. A total of 10 boys, ranging in age from 15 to 18, were employed by the city. No girls were hired. The mayor's son, Sam, was the second highest earner, taking home $880 over the summer. The top earner received just under $1,000. So how many people involved?
I believe there were 9 or 10 children.
Okay. And your son was one of them?
Yes, he was.
All right. And so how did he wind up getting that job?
Actually, all the youth that filled out an application, every single one of them worked.
Well, that worked out then, huh?
Yeah, so it was nice. Actually, I would have liked to have had probably 2 or 3 times the amount of children, so hopefully next year we can begin that process a little earlier because it didn't start until sometime in July. So I would like to begin it at the end of June when school is released and work them longer.
How did the word get out then? How did they know?
Actually, I was with a group of athletes and asked them one day, oh, where are you working and what are you doing for the summer? And most of them said they were not able to find jobs. So I said, would you like to consider, doing some work in the city and cleaning the streets and such? And a good portion of them said yes. About 9 or 10 of them said yes. And they filled out the applications, and the parents were very grateful for that, and it kept their kids busy and got them a little extra money for school and clothing.
In our interview, the mayor told us the money came from the public works budget, specifically from an unfilled position. The city clerk, in response to our public records request, indicated the $5,700 used to pay the teenage boys came from the Highway Temporary Services account. While the Woonsocket City Council passes yearly budgets, it is done under strict supervision from a state budget commission, which took over the city's finances in 2012. Did you advertise those positions? How did the word get out?
No, it was not advertised in the newspaper, if that's what you mean. No.
Right. And so, we had heard this. Your son and a lot of his baseball team was involved.
A good portion of them were baseball players, yes.
What about the perception of that the mayor's son got a job that maybe a lot of other kids maybe didn't know about and could have gotten and would want to work, that he wound up getting that job?
I did think of that when he indicated that he would like to do it too, but I felt as though, why discourage someone, especially a youth, from wanting to work, and when nobody else was left out of the equation.
Yeah, but how many people knew about it?
The amount of people that knew about it were the people who I just happened to be speaking with one day at a function.
Then there's the city's law department. The mayor received approval from the State Budget Commission to go from a part-time department to full-time city solicitor with an assistant and paralegal. That paralegal is Amy Devereaux, wife of prominent Rhode Island attorney William Devereaux, who represented Baldelli-Hunt's older son Gary on a DUI charge. He also contributed $750 last year to her campaign. The new full-time solicitor is one of Baldelli-Hunt's former colleagues at the State House, Representative Michael Marcello. You brought in some other people to work in the department with him?
Well, he has a legal secretary and he has an aide, a part-time aide.
And is that a new position?
The part-time aide is, yes.
Okay. And that's Mr. Devereaux's wife, correct?
Mr. Devereaux's wife.
Yeah, Bill Devereaux's
Yes.
wife. Right. And so did that go out for advertising, or how did she get picked? What was her skill to get that job?
She was interviewed by the city solicitor, and she is currently here. She's part-time she's a temp. She has no benefits, no coverage, no vacation time, no sick time. So she's not a permanent employee.
How did she even find out that a job was being created?
I'm not exactly I'm not exactly sure on that. I would have to check on that.
It wasn't a connection through your relationship with Mr. Devereaux? It was just coincidental that she found out about this job?
No, I just told you I can't recall how that happened, but I would have to think about that. I'd have to check with Mr. Marcello.
Marcello tells the Hummel Report that Richard Kearns, a former top aide to the mayor, suggested he consider Mrs. Devereaux for the position, and that she had an impressive resume. Marcello told us he never spoke directly with the mayor about it. Did you have any role in her hiring?
No.
Well, Mr. Devereaux, though, you have a relationship with him.
Oh, I know Mr. Devereaux. Yes, I do.
Right, because he's done...
I know a lot of attorneys, though.
Yeah, but he's done legal work for you.
Has he done legal work for me? I don't believe I've ever hired him to do legal work for me.
He represented your son, did he not?
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, you said for me. No, he did not do legal work for me.
Well, did you pay those bills, or did your son pay those bills?
Actually, that's my son's responsibility.
Okay. But Mr. Devereaux is also a campaign contributor to yours.
Yes, he did.
And so his wife...
Actually, most of his, a lot of attorneys, I guess you could say, contributed to my campaign.
Anybody can give to whoever they want. That's not the issue. I'm just saying his wife winds up in the legal department, and some people, like the summer jobs program, would say, well, how did they wind up getting that connection with the city?
Well, let me be perfectly frank with you. If you're not qualified, you do not work in my administration. I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's a friend. I don't care if it was a supporter of mine. We are on a very limited budget, and if you cannot bring the time and the talent to the table, then you will not be employed in this administration.
Ann Baldelli-Hunt says she hopes to make the paralegal position full-time if the mayor can find the money to do it. In Woonsocket, Jim Hummel for the Hummel Report.